Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's good to see you all here at 1111 downtown, celebrating this morning the Thanksgiving week, and it's good to have you all here, especially if you're visiting with us. I'm Tom McDermott. I'm sort of the head honcho on this thing, or the lead irritant, the lead creative irritant, and that's right. Charm's like, yeah. So it's good to have you here. And if you're visiting for the first time, then we're especially glad. Make sure you fill out your card there and let us know that you're here. Everybody else, make sure you fill out your card. Scan the deal on the bulletin and fill it out online either way, and bring them up during the time when we're singing. Also, a couple of announcements. First of all, we're going to do this off and on, I'm sure. But hey, let's all say hi to Elizabeth Wills and welcome her today. It's so good to have Elizabeth here, and we're happy that she's going to be a part of our service this morning, and she's got some fun music. Part of the reason why she's here also, in addition to the fact that we just miss her and we love having her here, is also because their church, the UCC church, she and Penny here are also... Penny, it's good to have you back with us. Yes, good to have you here. And it's the First Congregational Church of Fort Worth, right? But it's a UCC... Pretty close. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's First Congregational on Trail Lake. Yes, First Congregational Church on Trail Lake. The information is on here as well. Peter Mayer, who's one of all of our favorite singers, songwriters out of Minnesota, he's going to be doing an evening concert at that church on Saturday, the 14th of December. Then, as he's done in many, many years, he's coming to be with us on the 15th. On Sunday morning. Elizabeth will be here as well. But we're hoping that you all will go and enjoy the concert in the evening on Saturday. He does an amazing sort of wintry, solstice-y kind of concert of great songs and stories, and you'll be inspired. And it's a great location, too, where he'll be. It's a great venue, so hopefully you can do that. There'll be more information about that as well. You can get tickets online, or you can get tickets there at the door. And then he'll be here on Saturday morning, so we'll hope you'll be here. But that's part of why she's here as well, is because we just want to get a flavor and a taste of the beautiful music and voice that will be a part of that evening, because she'll be joining him. And because we miss you.
I miss y'all.
So, also, another announcement. Look at the back there. You'll see information about our blessings. Sharm, do we have any more boxes today? I think people took all the boxes we had for first responders. If you want to do that, you can go over to the main church. There'll probably be some in the Welcome Center at the main church across the parking lot. After service in here around 12 o'clock or so, there's also a reception over there. So there's an announcement. If you read your emails, there's an announcement that the whole church is for the whole church that Tim Brewster made this last week in the emails. It's that Lance Marshall. Some of you know who that is. He's the pastor of the Gathering and young adult pastor. He's going to be appointed. I guess officially it was today, but he's appointed here by the bishop as the co-pastor of this community, of the whole community of First United Methodist Church. So he'll be moving into that slowly and gradually, and it's a succession kind of plan that over a period of about 5 years, then he becomes the senior pastor. It's kind of the thing that's happening in big churches all over then Methodist Church all over the country. And so that's kind of the plan. You can read more about it online. The bishop was preaching today. We've already been over there as a combined services, and it was a great experience, and the band co-led the worship with us. I just decided I opted out for you. I hope you don't get mad at me for doing that. I opted out for you so that we would have our own worship here. I don't want to thank you. Please back me up on that. But it was, what we do here is very unique and distinctive, and I don't want to mess with that too much. We'll probably do joint services down the line on occasion, but I'd rather that be something that's rare and very special, and that really is expressive of who we are as well, which is what that was when we did it. So, but you do need to know that's what's happening. If you have any questions about that, let me know about what that means for the future and stuff. But we're as a congregation-wide, everybody's pretty excited about that. And we'll kind of grow into this as we go along. Okay, what else do we need to talk about here? I think that's it. I don't have one right in front of me. Grab a commitment card on your way out if you haven't done that. We are supportive of this congregation, this church, because it allows us to be this free expression of where we are in our faith journeys, and distinctive as that is, it's because we have this great, wonderful umbrella of a congregation. And it's such a great witness in our community and the world where there's so much divisiveness and so much sort of distinctiveness and tribalism, and here we have this big table and that we all get to be at, as diverse as we are, and celebrate one another. So let's support the whole church as we can. Grab a commitment card on your way out, and let's be a part of that as well. Okay, today is a special day. Today I decided what we would do is we would just celebrate story. Story, and so I'm wearing my shirt, real-time storyteller. I'm not sure if I'll tell one. We have 3 storytellers, maybe 4, and then we have some beautiful music sharing some stories of memories or experiences of awe, wonder, thanksgiving, surprise, just connectiveness, right? So the thing about stories, when you're sitting around, you're sharing stories with one another, you recognize something is happening. And if you're doing it right, you're listening, and as you listen, your own story starts to be told in ways. You start making connections with things you remember as we're listening to their stories. And I remember once when I heard this guy, Robert Bly. Some of y'all may remember Robert Bly, the poet and the mythologist and whatnot. And he was part of the big men's movement and mythology sort of reconstruction back in the 80s and 90s. And still around, and a great poet, a great interpreter of Rumi's poems as well. He's got some great collections of that. But Robert Bly was at this conference that I was at, and he told this amazing story. There was about 500 people out there at this big conference hall. He told this amazing story and read this incredible poem that he had written at the conclusion of the story. And you could have heard a pin drop. And then, as he finished the poem, everyone was like, ah. You could hear this collective sigh. And then Robert looked out, and he looked at him, and he said, do you know what this meant? Did that make any sense to you? And they all looked at him, and they said, not really. And he said, I was hoping you knew what it meant because I'm not sure what that meant. And he said, I don't know. It was one of those things I wrote that was an extension beyond me. It just was somewhere where I felt like I was moving, but I still don't know what it means. And I was hoping you knew what it meant. But they were all like, no, we don't know what it meant. And then he just kind of smiled and he said, well, hang on to it then, because maybe over time we can figure out for each other how to put this thing together. That's what we do when we get to listen to stories. We get to honor one another in a way that helps us put things together. They're not necessarily the final version of the story. Anybody who's told stories knows they change with insight, right? And some are holding us together now, but we'll find out 5, 10, 15 years down the line, that story's not so good anymore. I don't need to tell it. So that's what we do. We provide a place to hold stories sacred with one another. So it's a great morning today, and I'm glad you're here to be a part of that. Let's begin with our welcome candle.
Good morning and welcome. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again.
Good morning, 1111. I would like to take a moment and acknowledge somebody super important to this community. Does everybody know Marty Rush back there? He is our head usher, gets you bulletins, chairs, all sorts of things. He's been serving this community since as far back as I can remember. Today is his birthday. Am I right? That means give him a hug or a kiss on your way out. He's gonna love it. And tell him happy birthday. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Take it, Elizabeth.
Somebody said straight to me that I should be blind now. Somehow I see and my heart should be broken, shattered like glass. Oh, but I'm seeing rainbows now. Somebody should ask me, yeah. And I got a million angels
So we don't all get to eat at the same table together often, all of us, I mean, but this is our table where we come together. So today for our prayer, as we head into a week about eating at tables, I want to read a poem to you. And you can close your eyes if you want. You might hear your story in it. But the poem is called, Perhaps the World Ends Here. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of the earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe on the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. At this table, we gossip, recall enemies and ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor, falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table, and we have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at this kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite. By Joy Hargo.
1111 downtown. It's time to stand and sing your little hearts out with us, please. And while you're singing, it's also time to bring your offering down to the table. Here we go. This is a good old favorite right here. Okay, let's go. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my triumphant heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. Universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Yeah. Verse 2, all together, come on. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. Yeah, yeah. Verse 3, let's do it. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I yeah. Before Mary Ellen goes, it's time to offer one another a sign of peace. I wasn't even thinking about that. So you can go ahead and stand up. Wesley, come on. Take a moment, offer each other a sign of peace. I saw Mary Ellen taking charge. I'm like, she's got it. You know what's... She's nailing it. I'm ready. What am I going to do with you?
So we're doing something kind of fun and different this week. We've got this kind of open mic that we said. It's not really open mic. We're not really taking calls from the floor and such. But I did ask you all, I did invite you all last week and in the email as well. If you wanted to do this, let me know. And several people did actually say they would like to do this. Some of them I twisted their arms and some of them volunteered. And no, actually we have 3 storytellers. Our 4th one called in sick last night, and so Daryl will not be able to be with us, which is unfortunate, but been a lot of family things going on in his life and his family, and just been a difficult, challenging week. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers this week as well, Daryl Parker. But meanwhile, we do have several storytellers that would like to share some stories. So we kind of got this open mic format. So I want to introduce them as they come up each time, and then we can kind of welcome them and also give thanks for them. So our first one you all know, but it's Mary Ellen Barrow, who's ordained. Mary Ellen, you're ordained Baptist, are you? No. I didn't know if you were American Baptist. Not the Baptist down here, but American. Are you United? You're United Methodist. Why didn't I remember that? I'm sorry. It's terrible. I sort of disassociated from my own denomination. I don't know. So Mary Ellen is ordained in the Methodist Church. She is chaplain, head of the chaplaincy at Southwest branch of the Harris Hospital Systems, the Southwest Harris Hospital. Some of y'all know that. Some of y'all may have been there. Mary Ellen was sharing with some of us the other night a story of an experience that happened there, and it was so moving that I said, that's the story I hope you'll tell this morning. And so let's welcome Mary Ellen Barrow.
Thank you very much. It's good to be with you. This is my clergy coming out day at 11:11. So now you know I'm no longer undercover clergy in the group. I am an elder with the Central Texas Conference, and I have never been ordained in the Baptist Church, even though I did grow up there, and I love my Baptist brethren and sistren. That's quite all right. What I want to share with you today is a kind of out of the ordinary experience that happened just last week. So I've already had Thanksgiving at a friend's home and at the hospital, and it happened a very unexpected way. When I went to pick up the angel tree, I'm the angel tree coordinator. I wear many hats at the hospital, and one of the roles that I play is the angel tree coordinator for Christmas. So I was at the angel tree warehouse picking up our packet to prepare 115 children's Christmas for the hospital. All our employees in doctors' offices are very generous, and they bless many families, and it's wonderful. So I'm there, and there's a woman waiting at the door because you can't just walk in. You have to knock or ring the bell, and they let you in, and this lady was waiting with me, and I got to know her a little bit as we waited for someone to open the door, and we went in. She was there to apply for Angel Tree for her 2 boys, and even though she had missed the deadline, they were able to accommodate her family, but she called me. I gave her my business card, and she was afraid they wouldn't be able to meet her needs because of the deadline having passed. Well, I gave her my business card, and she called me a few days later, and she said, we were able to get the angel tree for my boys, but my sister has 2 little girls, 3 and 4, and they weren't able to take care of them. And I said, well, come on by the hospital, bring your sister, and we will take care of 2 extra angels this year. And my department is going to cover them. So we got all the information, we filled out everything, and then we went to the Help Clinic, which is another ministry at our hospital for families who don't have insurance or who are underinsured, because they had some health concerns they wanted to talk to the PA about. So while we were sitting there, I had also realized that they had no funds or resources for Thanksgiving, and I happened to have, that very morning, the delivery of an extra turkey and an extra bag of groceries with everything you need for Thanksgiving. And so I gave this to the sister and her family. They live on a $10 an hour income, and I don't know how they survive with 2 little children. And so I gave her this Thanksgiving basket as our extra one, and she was so grateful. And we were sitting there in the help clinic, and the sisters opened the uncooked dinner rolls, and they each eat an uncooked roll. She said, I'm so sorry, but we are just really, really hungry. And I thought to myself, how hungry would I have to be to eat an uncooked roll? And I said, don't eat that. They ate it anyway. But I said, don't eat that. I'll take you to the cafeteria after your appointment and get you some cooked food. It's hospital food, but it's pretty good. And so they agreed to do that, and they saw the PA, and we went to the cafeteria together. And we went through the line, and they got rotisserie chicken and mac and cheese and green beans and fresh cooked yeast rolls. And in a to-go box. And I was thinking they would take it home and eat together there, but they wanted to sit down at the table with me and have a meal. And as I was preparing to leave the cafeteria, she said, come to the table and let's break bread together. I've never heard that expression outside of church. And I realized as we sat down together and they told me their story, that we were on holy ground, and Thanksgiving came early this year.
We've been really blessed to have so many different families as a part of this community, and one of the families are the Matthias. And the Matthias, we've had their sons and daughter have come up and read for us, and they had a fascinating and interesting, once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience this last year, traveling to Sri Lanka and elsewhere. And I was so overwhelmed with some of you all. I even got to see the pictures on Facebook, and so I definitely wanted to hear a story from one of them. And they nominated Rachel Mattia to come up here and share stories with us from their experience in Sri Lanka. So let's welcome Rachel Mattia.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Mutaya. This morning, I will share a little bit about my family's trip to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island located about 15 miles off of the coast of India. Sri Lanka is a beautiful tropical island filled with beautiful beaches, scenic hill country, and jungles. There is unfortunately a history of ethnic conflict, which caused my father's family to flee the country in 1905. Sri Lanka was impacted by a tsunami in 2005, and most recently, the Easter bombings this year. However, this country has persevered through all of the struggles. The culture is influenced by the religion. The main religion in Sri Lanka is Buddhist. Sri Lankan women wear traditional saris, and men can frequently be seen wearing sarongs. The Sri Lankan food is spicy and delicious. And you also can't talk about Sri Lanka without mentioning the crazy and sometimes scary driving. On our first day on the island called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean, we visited an elephant conservation program. For about 6 hours, we followed around an elephant named Kumari, which means princess in Sinhalese. During our time with the gentle giant, we bathed and fed her. but we never rode her, for it damages the elephant's back. Kumari used to work in the logging industry, but it was obvious she had found a place of sanctuary at the project where she can live her life unbound and free. If there was one person who represented Sri Lanka as a whole, it would be Kumari's caretaker, Mr. Black. He had served his whole life as an elephant caretaker, which is an honorable position in the Sri Lankan culture. On our walk, we noticed that he had his own specific elephant language he used to communicate with Kumari. Sit down and come back were a few commands. The bond the two shared was unbreakable and like no other. The Buddhist flag was prevalent everywhere we went. Its blue, white, and orange colors waving hello to us from every city we visited. We had the opportunity to visit a Buddhist temple in Kandy, and while there, we met with a monk. We sat and talked with him about the ideals of Buddhism, including the Eightfold Path. It was an eye-opening experience to hear about how principles of another religion could be applied to our own lives. At the end of our conversation, we received a Buddhist blessing, where we got a white thread tied around our right wrist. The string symbolizes good luck and wishes us well in life. If you were to drive through Sri Lanka, you would notice the large presence of tea plantations alongside the mountains. The beauty of the green tea plants makes the large amount of poverty in the hillside. Large numbers of elderly women would walk on the side of the road, their daily yield of tea leaves firmly pressed in a large sack against their back. These women had likely been picking tea since before they were teenagers, and their children would likely do the same thing. It's their only option, however, since they have no education nor any money, they can't live in the city. These women don't make enough to sustain a healthy life, but at the same time, it's their only option and brings in some money. My dad suggested that we visit one of these tea plantation workers' home. I was not on board with this idea at first, but my dad persisted. The yellow house was dilapidated, but yet still had a feeling of life and character about it. Outside stood an elderly gentleman and his wife, and the wife was holding their granddaughter. The family was welcoming and showed us incredible hospitality. While showing us around the tiny house, I couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable due to how much I had in comparison to them. Yet they still extended kindness towards these seemingly opposite foreigners. The house couldn't have been more than 1,000 square feet, yet 7 people called it home. Our driver who transported us around for the whole trip informed us that this was one of the nicer homes, which really put things into perspective. I left that house eternally grateful for both my life at home and to the people of Sri Lanka, whose number one priority is family. I could truly see where that trait in my dad came from. All of these experiences are why I am thankful for my trip to Sri Lanka. I hope to be fortunate enough to visit again someday.
Thank you, Rachel. So is Elizabeth, where is any of the band, have they all disappeared? Elizabeth, are you anywhere around? Oh, Elizabeth, you're right in front of me. Okay, Elizabeth, could you come up here? I didn't tell her she was going to be helping me with this. But if anybody could help me, you would be this.
Okay.
So we're going to have both microphones working here. And so for our Kairos time, I was thinking about this week, and I thought as we go about our week, I mean, I understand that some of us will be going to family for the week, and some of us will not be going, and some of us will have difficult times for any number of reasons. Family losses, awkwardnesses around you've heard me talk about my family. Awkwardnesses around the family table. We have all sorts of things that we bring to these holiday seasons. But at the ground of our being, which we often speak of in here, this understanding that the Apostle Paul spoke to, our ground of our being, is this love and this grace and this spaciousness to experience these kinds of magical moments, if you want to call them that, or moments of grace and connection where we least expect it. I learned this song, and you may know this song. I learned this song a number of years ago at a festival from a Navajo woman, and it's called the Beauty Way song. And it's, you might remember this. We're going to learn this and do it as a round, and that will be our Kairos moment. I have found sometimes just singing this song reminds me that we are rooted and grounded in beauty. And it goes simply like this. Now I walk in beauty. Y'all say that with me. Now I walk in beauty. Beauty walks before me. Beauty walks before me. Beauty walks behind me. Beauty walks behind me, above and below me, above and below me. So we're going to do this in 2 parts. I'll do this side, you'll do that side, all right? That way you get at least a little...
It's been a while, Tom, but I'll try. Okay.
Now, let's try it together. Ready? Now I walk in beauty. Beauty walks before me. Beauty walks behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty. Beauty walks before me. Beauty walks behind me, above and below me, above and below me. Switch. Now we just try it all together, all right?
It sounded good for a
It
minute.
sounded good at the first 2 or 3 of them, yeah. Now I walk in beauty. Beauty walks before me. Beauty walks behind me, above and below me. Amen.
Sorry, man.
So I'm going to read the scripture for you this morning, and I tried to pick this scripture kind of just in the best one that I could find that sort of spoke to this season. Next week, we start the season of Advent, and it's a season where the theme for our season is joy, joy that embraces all things, that really embraces the highs, the lows, the lights, the darks, the awkwardness, the mystery, and the celebrations. Joy kind of embraces it all. And so we'll be looking at that for the season. This passage sort of also speaks to that, but I love the way the Message translates this. So let's read it together, all right? Let's try that. On your feet now, shouts of joy for God. Bring a gift of laughter. Sing yourselves into this sacred moment, for we know this, all is God, God is all. We are born of this moment, people of the holy, and the community of this holy ground. Enter life with the password, thank you. So to continue our stories this morning, I wanted to invite, now you all know this person. Many of you have gotten to know her. I've gotten to know her. She's a new member in our community, and such energy exudes from her just being in her presence. She came up to me earlier and she said, well, I know Daryl's out, and if you need a second story, I'll just pretend to be somebody else. And I was like, no, you don't have to pretend to. You're so many people. She is such a ball of energy, and yet so smart and so creative. I've had great opportunity to sit down and visit with her and just have coffee and just pull from her ideas. So I'm really excited to have Cheryl Essex come up here and share a story. Let's welcome Cheryl Essex.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. My story, a little less of a story, maybe, and more of a reminisce, just taking you through some time. And Thanksgiving time, when Tom first approached me, I had several things that I thought I wanted to share, and then a series of events led me to this and just kind of rolled with it. And Thanksgiving time, traditionally in Thanksgiving, you think of it's celebrating with food and family. And for me, I say that, you know, food, friends and family, but food, and sometimes in that order. With my family growing up, food was always a part of, be it a celebration, a traditional, or even just a gathering. Food was a part of it. And so looking back, love Thanksgiving, the memories of that. My mom, she was a cook. She put food and love and time into her cooking. You could taste it in her meals. She made her mashed potatoes, melt in your mouth. You know what I'm talking about. It's savory, melt in your mouth, lumpless mashed potatoes. So delicious. She probably fat-free and calorie-free too, right? We got to believe that. So, yeah. So I took on mashed potatoes as I got older. I tried to cook, these mashed potatoes. Unfortunately, I was not a friend. The peeler and I, we had a bad relationship. There's some pain involved, multiple Band-Aids. Did not do well with that. So as I got older, and especially having little kiddos, I introduced them to instant mashed potatoes. Now, mind you, instant gratification, right? It's like, look, it's quick. We don't have to wait. We just microwave. But here's the sad part to that. Little kids don't know that grainy texture is kind of subpar, right? So you put a bunch of butter in, stir it around, and what you truly have is a canvas for the imagination. You've got some good stuff going in those potatoes. And so thoroughly enjoyed my kids watching them grow up. I specifically remember witnessing my children enjoying their food, mashed potatoes. Kayla, at the age of 3, one meal, it wasn't a Thanksgiving meal. We would still, please know, I would still take my kids for decent potatoes at my mom's house. They did experience that sometimes. But I remember Kayla, we were in the kitchen and she started swirling around her potatoes and playing with her food. I was that mom. I was like, have at, build, enjoy. And so she was playing with her potatoes, and as she was playing, she began to press down with her fork and create something, and she announced it. I'm making toast. In her little bitty 3-year-old voice, making toast. And I'm like, okay. My son, who was 4 years older, he looked over at me so perplexed. I still remember that, and he's like, what in the world? And I'm like, roll with it. It's a 3-year-old. It's like, good job making toast. There was no bread shape on that plate. There was nothing. And it's like, good job making toast. So, of course, we teased her for years later about that, good-natured teasing. And my younger twin, by all of 6 minutes, but I swear to you, she is the baby. It could be she's the younger, but she is the baby of the family. She took on in her preteen years, or what she would like to call as the pre-adult years. They made me say that term. They pressured me. Pre-adult. She took on instant mashed potatoes as well several times, and those potatoes, those are unnatural. I don't know what happened with those instant potatoes. They were instant. They had chewy bits. Like, there were textures in there that she hadn't added in, and probably over microwaving. But we enjoyed that, and of course, even to this day, we joke with her about, you want to make some chewy potatoes? So that's part of our memories. But time passed, and those little darling children that I can still see at that very small, cramped table, they grew up, and being teenagers, all of us just kind of got busy and didn't take as much time with meals. And unfortunately, the thing that I had known all my childhood, that gathering and the taking the time and the making the meals, started to slip. My mom also passed away, and less opportunity for traditional celebrations. My kiddos, as they got older, my daughter, Kayla, the oldest twin, she, some people say she's most like me, a little bit stubborn, a little bit independent. She went through some really bad roads and made some bad choices, and I have to tell you, I made some equally bad reactionary responses to those choices. So we rifted for a while. Meals weren't as common. We didn't have gatherings with all of us. I would get to enjoy each of them separately, not so much Kayla. A couple years ago, Thanksgiving time, went out to dinner with a friend and was having the traditional Thanksgiving meal, looking down. It's comfort food, isn't it? It has memories. Each thing you can, be it the dryness of the turkey and remembering, that from when you were really small. But the meal itself, I started playing a little bit with my potatoes. And as I did so, I was missing my little girl. I was also missing my adult child, my relationship with my adult young or oldest twin. And so pushing down on the potatoes with the tines of my fork, playing with my food, because I did that as well. You see where it started. I was pushing down with the tines of my fork, and as I did so, I noticed something. The mashed potatoes coming up through the fork as it pressed down. Well, there's your toaster, and there's the bread popping up. And so it was like, oh my goodness. Now, I didn't share it with that friend. I was enjoying their company, but just wasn't ready to share that, you know? But in my mind, I wanted to yell out, I'm making toast, you know? It's like, I get it. It's an epiphany. I'm making toast right here. And so a couple days later, I called my daughter, had to. Knew that was coming, strained. It was calling me back. And I let her know, Kayla, it's been a long time, but I get it. I know what making toast is now. I had the epiphany. We laughed and joked together, and that gave way to many more conversations and building and bridging, and ironically, but not, through dinners and lunches and let's grab a coffee, let's grab a bite to eat. Still food as a source of bonding, but we're good now. I mean, we have our moments. She's still my daughter. I would expect no less, but we have our moments. But I have to say this to you. I'm trying to see life from different perspectives now. I really am. And it's the beauty is, I think maybe it's as simple as this. I'm going to look at life for a while like mashed potatoes. It's smooth sometimes. Sometimes it's lumpy. Sometimes it's grainy. It's really not at its best. Sometimes you get some bite or chew in there, and you're not ready for that. But then overall, it's a matter of, it's a canvas. Enjoy it and use your imagination. Just make yourself embrace it and just kind of lean in for what comes. So thank you for your time. Hope everybody has a great helping of potatoes for Thanksgiving.
Stepped out into the ocean. The storm chased him all the way home. The piece of centrifugal motion. He found himself stranded alone. He didn't know how deep the waters don't show the secrets they keep under the waves, under the foam. Then from the dark there came a hand not like his, but they were the same, and they were bringing him safe from the unknown. He said, tell me your name. You don't look like me, but I think we're the same. And the stranger just smiled. He said, don't you know we're all here, and we're walking each other home. She ended her shift at a diner, headed out to find a way home. The voices are always behind her, even though
few minutes. I'm gonna let that be the reflection on the stories for the morning, and I'll let Elizabeth go right into this next song, and then we're gonna have a song together before we close things up. Elizabeth.
You're dreaming brilliant, dreaming gold. There's a cup you can fill it, everything you can hold. It's a beautiful life. Every day that I see you smile, it's a beautiful life. Love makes everything worthwhile. It's a beautiful life. Be the strength, be the light, be the light. Well, you have it inside you, and it's a secret you should share. You can light up the night with everything that you got in there. It's a beautiful life. Every day that I see you smile, it's a beautiful life that makes everything worthwhile. It's a beautiful life. Be the strength, be the light, be the light. Be the strength, be the light, be the light. It's a beautiful life. Every day that I see you smile, it's a beautiful life that makes everything worthwhile. It's a beautiful life. Be the strength, be the light, be the light. Be the strength, be the light, be the light. Be the strength, be the
So we have this benediction, and after we have our benediction, I'm going to invite you to stick around and on this last song by Carrie Newcomer, which is a beautiful song for Thanksgiving and a beautiful song for celebrating life as well. Elizabeth's going to sing it. The chorus is there written in the bulletin, so I hope you'll join in on the chorus as well. And we'll all be back together again next time. But let's receive this blessing. As we go about in our world this week, may we be in the midst of the presence of life. May we be in the midst of the presence of beauty. May we be in the midst. May we be in the midst of life as it happens. And as it happens to us, may we be a part of it growing into something beautiful. Amen. twinkling, that's for certain. That's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again.
Well, I can't explain it. Couldn't if I tried. How the only things we carry are the things we hold inside, like the day we open, like the love we won't forget, like the laughter that we started. It hasn't died down yet. Let it go.
My love, my truest, let's sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, and it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we take up where we left off when we all meet again.
Oh yeah, now didn't we? Don't we make it shine? Are we standing in the center? Something rare and fine, glow like embers. Oh, a light colored glass. Something get all in one great flame, blowing kisses as they pass. Just east of Eden, there's a heaven in our midst, and we're never really all that far. Those we love and miss fade out in the water. There's a glory all around, and the wise say there's 1,000 ways to feel a kiss ground. So let it go.
My love, my truest, let us sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, and it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. So they're going to keep playing for a second. I did something terrible. I forgot for us to thank our storytellers. Thanks to Rachel, thanks to Mary Ellen, thanks to Cheryl, thanks to Elizabeth Wills. So let's all sing together. Let's stand up and let's give it one last chorus. Let's try that.
Let it
Go, my love, my truest, let it sail on silver wings. That's a twinkling, that's for certain, that's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. And we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. Yeah.
He needs to come back.